Hey everyone, welcome back for another episode in Adventures of Comprehension. Super excited about tonight's topic because I know it's something that teachers think about all the time, and not just teachers, but parents as well. Tonight, we're actually going to be talking about different ways that you can help parents at home when it comes to reading comprehension. So it's a pretty big and hefty topic. So I've got some unique ideas to talk with you about tonight. And then I have a huge freebie. Guys, I have put together a parent strategy guidebook. This is something that you're going to be able to print off and actually give to your parents at the beginning of the school year, or clearly I know it's already a few months in, but really you could give it to them any time of the school year, or maybe when they just request like, hey, I need some extra help. I need some tools or some strategies or some things to motivate my readers at home, to help work with them at home, etc. Right? We can fill that blank a million different ways. So I'm going to go through the strategy guidebook at the very end of the video. And like always, the link to this amazing freebie will be in the video comments and in the video description at the very, very, very end of the video. So you have to stay tuned and stick with me to hear all the wonderful tips and things, and then grab the link to this. So this is your freebie tonight, guys. It's huge, and we're going to walk through that in just a minute. So like I said, tonight we're going to be talking all about helping parents with reading. So if you are out there and watching, hello. Just to introduce myself in case you are unfamiliar with me or what's going on here, my name is Sierra Harris. I am the author behind Sierra Harris Teaching, and I come to you every week to talk about all things reading comprehension. So I've got a lot of great videos housed for you to check out that have already been done, and a lot of great videos to come in the future. So make sure to comment below and let me know that you are here and you are watching, and let me know what grade you teach and where you're from. All right. So I can't wait to see who is all watching with us tonight. All right. So let's go ahead and jump in. Like I said, I have 5 different strategies or ideas that are going to help you help parents with reading comprehension at home, right? And then technically there's 6 different ideas because the 6th idea is the parent guidebook that I put together. So you'll have to stay tuned to the end for that. So as teachers, right, we know that the magic, that sprinkle magic to improving the ability to read and comprehend is simply just to read more. Every bit of research that is out there shows that if you want kids to improve their reading, they need to practice reading. End of story. So our wish for every student is that they fall in love with reading and that they read at home as much as possible. We know that there's no factual evidence that proves that homework actually does good things or does bad things for students, right? There's no evidence out there to support it. So why not just let them read? Why not just let kids read at home, and that can be their homework? I think that is so important for teachers to understand and embrace, and to give parents at home a break with all of the busy work, to give students time to just read and fall in love with reading. And if that's what research shows, that is going to improve all students' levels of understanding and comprehension, then that should be their focus, right? Let them read. So if we want them to read at home, then we need to give support to parents. And that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. We need to give support to parents. We need to give them the best tips and ideas on how to make reading engaging and on how to make reading purposeful in their own homes. So today, like I said, I've got 5 unique ways that we're going to, or not 5 unique ideas that I'm going to share with you that you can then share with parents in order to help them at home. And then I'm going to go through that strategy guidebook, which is your freebie for tonight. All right. All right, here we go. Let's jump into idea number 1. Idea number 1 is for me, it's a duh, but I think it's one that all teachers need to hear. Okay. Because I've been in your shoes before, so I do empathize with you if you're kind of still at the beginning of this journey. But I promise once you get to the other side, if you're not there yet, you will feel the rewards completely. So idea number 1 is simply to send books home. Yes, it's that simple. If we want our students to read at home, we have to completely ensure that they have access to books at home. It is really that simple. We cannot assume that our students have access to books at home. We cannot assume that if they have books at home, that those books are even books that they're interested in, right? We know that interest is so important when it comes to engagement and motivation when reading a book. The books at home, they may be boring. They may have read them 1,000 times and they are done and over them, right? We have to make sure that the books that they have at home are new, engaging, and interesting at the moment, right then and there. So it is imperative that in our jobs, we are relentlessly book matching and sending home books with students. It's our number one job. Put the books in the students' hands and let them take them home. Okay? And if you're like almost every other teacher in this country, right, you have worked so hard, right, to build that classroom library from scratch. I remember my first year teaching. I walked in and I was the lucky one. I took over the principal's classroom. He became principal. I took his class. And he kind of left. He kind of split up. There were 5 new teachers that year. And he took his classroom library and split it between all 5 of us. So we had a little library to start with, but it was tiny. And I went that whole summer after I got hired, I went garage sale to garage sale, finding every book I could possibly find to help build that classroom library with my own money. So I understand the fear of not wanting to send home books. But here's what I have to say to that, right? I get it. I've been there. I didn't want to send them book home. I didn't want to lose them, right? It was like throwing money away. They were going to come back lost. Well, that doesn't make sense. They were going to get lost, or they were going to come back and they were going to be ruined in some way, right? But think about it this way. By not sending home our books, we are saying that, I'll throw out a random number, the $12 that we spent on that book is more valuable than the growth and love of reading that our student may receive by taking that book home. Which is more important? That one book could change the trajectory of our students' love for reading. All it takes is one book for them to get hooked. They have to find that one book for them to fall in love with reading, and it may just be that book that you spent $12 on. If that book doesn't come back, but you see a change in that student and you see motivation in them wanting to read more books like that, and you see them participating more in class because things are clicking, was it worth that $12? Yeah, absolutely. Now, does that mean it's going to happen with every book they take home? No. Is that going to happen with every single student? No. However, we don't know when that's going to happen. We don't know what's going to be that click for that student. So I personally, remember, I can't speak for all of you, but I would be fine losing books left and right if it meant that my students were happy, if it meant that they were reading, right? And not just reading, but falling in love with reading. So what are we waiting for, right? The best way to help parents at home is to ensure that every single student in your class is coming home with books. So I think that's just a really good reminder for all of us. You may be already doing that, and if you are, that's great. Just a great reminder for you. If you're not, or if you know a teacher who's not and they're scared, this is a really important conversation to have. If you don't want to send your books home, then make sure your administration and your media specialist or librarian, make sure that those books are going home with students. But there should be a book in their backpacks at all times, right? At all times. All right, so we are ready for idea number 2 for ways to help parents at home with comprehension, with reading. So I've got 3 kids of my own, 1 in kindergarten and 2 in 2nd grade. So even being a teacher, this is a battle, okay? Sometimes a simple motivator is what parents need to get their students to read more at home. And I know we experience that in the classroom as well, right? How can we motivate our students? So one way to do that is to send home some fun at-home reading challenges. These are super simple to create, like so easy to make. And there's plenty that you can find online, like tons online. You can find some for free, some that you may have to pay for, like $1 or $2, but they're also very simple to make. I know on my website right now, I have a fall break one, which your fall break may already be gone and past. I have a spring break challenge, and I also have an anytime at home challenge as well. So if you are interested in those links, just drop me a comment below and say, hey, Sierra, I'd love the link to the at home challenges. They're not just for reading. There is one in there for math as well, but the majority of them are all reading based. I just made, I think there's 4 different ones for the at home. But anyways, if you would like that link, just drop me a comment below, and then I will send you the link to grab those for free. But creating these challenges are so easy and so fun. So it's just a simple way and for you to take 5 minutes to create a quick challenge to send home to parents and let the parents use it at home to motivate their students. All right. And let your parents know that it's okay to motivate your child to read in external ways, especially for your younger students, right? Many students have to read a lot in order to fall in love with reading. So they have to find that just right book, just like we just talked about. So until they have read through a lot of books that they don't like, they won't know what they like and don't like, right? They're going to find the ones that they do. So by creating and sending home these really fun and exciting challenges, parents can put the motivation on reading and on a fun small reward, right? And you can give parents lots of great examples of rewards that don't cost money. Maybe they get an extra dessert that night. Maybe they get to pick a movie for family movie night. Or maybe they get to make a tent somewhere in the house and sleep in the tent for the night instead of, sleeping in their beds. Or, that you can think of tons of fun ideas to share parents. But parents need help with that. I know if a list came home for me of ways that I can motivate my students, even being a teacher, I get in my own way. I need someone else to tell me, like, what are some different ways I can motivate my kids? Because all the ways that I'm doing at home, right? They get bored. They get over them. I need new, fresh ideas. And more heads are better than one. So don't think that this is like, oh, parents already know how to do this stuff. No, I promise you, as a parent and as a teacher, we all need the help. So creating or finding these great reading at home challenges are a great way to really help parents motivate their kids at home. So if you need a link to the one that I have, drop a link in or drop a comment below. And like I said, I'll get you that link. Or head over to TPT and just type in at home reading challenges or on Google, and I know you're going to find tons of them. Okay. All right. So idea number 3. I feel like I'm about to get the hiccups, so I apologize if I do, because my hiccups are hefty. All right, so idea number 3 on helping parents at home with reading. Idea number 3 is to provide resources. So this is where my freebie for tonight, my Parent Strategy Guidebook, is going to come into play. So let's talk about why providing resources is so important when it comes to helping parents. So it's sometimes hard to remember that as teachers, we went to school for 4 years to become this teacher. I know if maybe you were on accelerated track, that 4 years may not be accurate, but you had to have extra schooling. Some things come so naturally to us as teachers that we forget how to help. We forget that parents don't understand how to help students when they're reading, right? When students are reading with us, we just know what to do. We know how to ask questions. We know how to help them through decoding issues. We know when to help and when not to help, right? We know that balance. Parents may not understand that. They didn't have that schooling. So something as simple as listening to a child reading and knowing what to do and when to help, that can become really frustrating for parents. So it's important to take time and provide resources to help parents and give them that support that they need. So, like I said, one of the resources that I love to give is I put together this 20+ page parent strategy guide, technically, that will help parents understand their role when it comes to reading at home. So inside the guide, I'm going to walk through it in a little bit, but you'll find like a letter to parents. There's information in here about like different things that really impact your child's ability to comprehend. And I think that's important for parents to understand. There's other great tools and resources in here too that can help parents and their children become engaged and motivated with reading. So at the end, after I get through these last 2 tips, I'm going to go through the entire guide with you. So stay tuned, okay? So I highly encourage you to grab the link at the very end of this video to download that guide. And I have mine printed not front to back, and it's about 20 pages. So it will be about 10 pages or so per parent. So I know that's kind of a lot, but you would be able to print the pages that only you want. So you can customize it kind of how you need, okay? All right, but let's move on because I know you're really interested in getting to the parent guide, and I really am anxious to show you that too. So, idea number 4 on helping parents with comprehension, and this is a big one, okay? Huge. Be transparent. This is not an actionable thing. Technically, it is actionable, but this is not something where you're going to need to find or make or print anything. This is simply from teacher to teacher and from parent to teacher that I had to put in this. All right. So something that I have learned from the parent side of school, right? I have second graders now, so I've been a parent of school age kids for a few years now, is that teachers need to be transparent with their students' families. It has to happen. What I mean by this is that parents need to know how their child is doing in regards to reading. The more that we can communicate the student's strengths and their areas of weakness, the better understanding that parents are going to have in knowing how to help their child at home. So take it from a parent who has very little communication from their child's teachers. And I don't mean that you are telling the parents that, hey, your child's at a level C and we want them at a level D. That means nothing to parents. What I mean by this is you need to tell them, hey, they're struggling to understand nonfiction, or they're struggling to be able to identify the problem and solution in the story. Or think about objectives, think about the skills and the strategies and the standards. If you can construct a simple email once every few weeks to a parent and say, hey, this is what your child is doing great at reading. Here's something that I could absolutely use your help with at home. Like that right there would help parents tremendously. So if I'm sitting with my child at home and I know that I just got an email from them that says, hey, we're working on character traits and Kennedy is just really kind of struggling to pick up on the inferences of making or inferencing of making and identifying a character trait and finding evidence to support it. Could you help me with this at home? Here are some questions, Tim, you can use. Boom, boom, boom. That email would take me 3 minutes to type up, and it would mean the world to a parent. Because now I have a real purpose of sitting and reading with my child. Not just to read with them, which is fantastic, right? But now I know what my child needs and now I can help them. That should not wait until report card time. That should not wait until parent-teacher conference time. If we want our parents to really focus and help them at home, and we want their focus to be on reading comprehension and reading with them, then let's help communicate with our parents what their students are doing well at when it comes to reading and what they need help with when it comes to reading. I hate not knowing with my own children. I hate that. I read with them all the time, but I don't go through every single skill and strategy with them. So I still have no clue what they need help with. No clue, right? We read, we talk about the text, this and that. But, in 20, 30 minutes, I don't get through every skill and strategy that I know a second grader needs to understand. So would this be helpful information for me? Absolutely. Would it take a teacher a lot of time to sit down and email 5 parents a week, and kind of go through a schedule and make sure that transparency is happening? No, it doesn't take that long. And I know teachers' lists of things to do are so long, but this one is so important. And it doesn't have to be anything more than that quick email. Just make sure that you are being intentional about being transparent with your parents when it comes to what they can do or where the areas of strength and where the areas of weakness are when it comes to comprehension. I promise you it'll make a big difference. All right, so last idea of the night, and then we're going to jump into the strategy guidebook, right? So idea number 5, our last one, is to model reading aloud. This one I think is so unique and so important to do, and I'm going to talk through what I mean by this and how you can do this. So One important reminder for parents, especially parents of older children or older grades, is that it's still okay to read aloud to your child. Your child does not have to be the one reading the whole time. So if you're reading for 20, 30 minutes, maybe it's every other page, maybe do 15 minutes child, 15 minutes parent, etc. Let parents know that. So students of all ages and all grades benefit from hearing that fluent reader read aloud to them. One fantastic idea that I love to implement every year is modeling for my families how to read aloud with your child. So you can do this in one of two ways, and I've tried both. One way I have done this is by having like a special reading night. So I would invite all of my families in for a special reading night in the classroom. You could do this during your back to school night too. And at the event, I model reading aloud. So I will have a class read aloud, a book ready to go, and I will talk to parents and say, I'm going to model this for you real quick. And I want you to pick up on actions that I do, when I stop, when I don't stop, when I ask questions and what kinds of questions. I may even print out a little script of what I asked and what I stopped and pointed out or modeled for them to take home with them so they can kind of see how much goes into it. That way their parents kind of have a black and white example, because a lot of parents will over ask questions or over stop and talk with their child, and their child doesn't have a chance to actually comprehend and listen to what's going on in the story. So it's too much. Some parents ask not enough. So what's that just right amount? Well, getting the chance to model that for my parents is crucial. So I will read, like I said, I will model the read aloud at the event. And if you can't squeeze it in during an event, with technology nowadays, guess what? Create a video. Create a video for your parents and model reading aloud in that video. Talk through your parents about, what pieces are in that model for them and why you're modeling and what you're showing them, and talk through all of that. And then what a great resource you now have to give parents every year, especially if you do the video one. You have it every single year to give to your families, and it's so important. So what exactly are you modeling? So I mentioned a few things already, but you're going to model how to book talk before reading a book out loud. So what do you talk about before you even open the book, right? You can model how to stop and ask questions when reading. You can model how to come across words that you don't know or you're unfamiliar, how to correctly decode the words, and how to use context clues to figure out the definitions of the words. You can model how to do certain strategies that you're going to be working on. And just focus on the basics. Model visualization, model asking questions, model making predictions, model making connections. Those main four, that's what you can model, right? So, but the important thing when you're doing this in the event or you're doing this in the video, whichever you decide to do, is to model your thinking. Show parents how when they read to their kids, they can stop and think out loud, right? That's something that we do as teachers when we read out loud for our kids, and it's so important that that happens. So why not teach our parents how to do that? Now, will their out loud thinking will it be perfect? No. Will it make a difference? Yes. So having this resource, modeling this for parents in a quick little 5-minute video, and you know what? The book doesn't even have to be on grade level. Make it a lower grade level book, fly through that thing and show all your points. Make it quick, but make it purposeful. And I guarantee you parents are going to turn around and say, thank you. Oh my goodness, thank you. That was so helpful. I now know what I'm doing when I'm reading with my child. I have a purpose. I know when, and they're going to say thank you. So, love that idea. And if you implement it, let me know how it goes. All right. Okay, so we have walked through 5 unique ideas on how to help parents at home with comprehension. Some are a little bit more actionable than others, but they're all really great and important reminders for us to hear when it comes to communicating and helping our parents. But for the most important thing tonight, which I know you're all excited about, is the Parent Strategy Guidebook. So I thought I would go ahead and walk you through everything that's in here. And then, like I said, at the very, very end, after I say goodbye, I will post the link to this in the comment section of the video, and I will post it in the video description. That takes a minute to calculate or re-put out there. I don't know. So you may have to like go out of my page and come back in and see that it's there. Okay. But I promise I put it there. All right. So in here, like I said at the very beginning, I did put a letter to parents. I did put my name at the end since I was the one who created it. So I do ask that you do keep my name there. If they want to know who this is, and well, you can add your name underneath mine. It's perfectly fine. But you can tell them, you don't need to tell them who I am. They don't need to know that. But it's just a great letter that really talks about, what this guidebook is for, and what should be their most important takeaway from using this, etc. So it's a really important letter to keep in there. So definitely leave that. The next part talks about impact. So I think it's important for parents to know where and what impacts their child's ability to comprehend. A lot of parents think that if they can't understand what they're reading, that they're just not paying attention. And that's not it. That's not always it. So I really wanted to make sure that this was something that I included to help and teach parents and expose parents to this because it's so important. So there is a letter in here that kind of explains the impact. And then on the next page are all the different areas that impact comprehension. And then because they're only like one word, really parents may not know what schema means, or they might not know what text structure means. On the page after that, and things are going to stick together, of course. On the page after that is a breakdown of each one. So that way parents can see, oh, this is what she means by text structure. This is what she means by culture and memory. So parents can read through that and see, oh, this could be why my child does not understand this. They don't have any schema for this topic. Or, the text structure is all different than normal, etc. The next piece are the strategies. So I put in 6 important strategies for teachers to share with parents for them to be using at home. And then after that are strategy questions. So these obviously are not the questions, but there's a page in here that explains like why you should be asking these questions, how to ask these questions, and how important these questions are to ask. And then there are 2 pages of questions for parents to ask their children. And I did not put in here the typical questions that you find when you download resources online. So I'm not for giving parents questions like, who's the character, and what happened after Susie blah blah blah. Like, we want these kids to be thinkers, so they need to be asking questions to get them to think. So that's what these questions are. These questions are all centered around the reading strategies. So you can see here that there's visualizing questions, metacognition questions, questioning questions, etc. And then it finishes on the next page here. And then I had some room, so I did write some overall questions that they could ask at the bottom that I thought were really still very important to ask on top of all the strategy questions. So that's there. Then the next page talks about graphic organizers. Yes, I did put graphic organizers in here. A lot of times parents, especially if you're not assigning homework, except for reading, parents still maybe want something for their child to do to kind of prove that they read, right? That accountability. Even as a teacher, parent, I know that when my kids read, they probably aren't really reading, right? They sit around and look at what's on the walls. So I have written out how parents can use these very simple graphic organizers and reuse them by using Ziploc bags or page protectors that they may have at home, and be able to reuse them over and over again and explain like how to use them and why they're so purposeful, etc. So then I put in all of the different graphic organizers for each of the strategies. Then the next part talks about engagement. So here you'll find a bulleted list of ideas on how to make reading engaging at home for parents, so they can use that. And then after that, I have 2, told you they were going to stick, especially now that I said that. I have 2 different games for them. So one is a roll and answer with comprehension questions, and another is a game board. And it's a game board that they can play on their own, and they have to try to finish and get to the end in 5 minutes. So they don't have to play it with a family member. They can if they want, and you can make up their own their own rules, but I have it ready to go for the child to be able to play on his or her own. And then the very last page talks about if you feel if your child is struggling to comprehend, there are 10 different ideas on what parents can do to help with that. So ideas such as have stop and chat points throughout the story to discuss what the child remembers so far, focus on retelling important events in order from beginning, middle, end, etc., things like that. So hopefully this is a helpful resource. If you have something that you feel like needs to be added to this, I'm open to suggestions, but I thought this was a great comprehensive resource, kind of putting together a lot of different things that parents could use and a lot of great information as well as and suggestions and ideas kind of all combined into one. So I will be posting the link to this as soon as we say goodbye. So I hope you love it, and let me know if you decide to use it and what your parents think about it too. I can't wait to hear. So thank you so much for joining tonight. We have walked through 5 different unique ideas on how to help parents at home with comprehension, plus walked through your 20+ page freebie for tonight, which is your Parent Strategy Guidebook. I hope you love them all. I hope they were great reminders or new ideas, and that you walked away with something new to think about as far as helping your parents and reaching out and communicating with them when it comes to all of your students. And that communication is just so important, and being there for your parents and knowing that they're helping you, you're helping them, and really building that community together. So if you have any questions for me, please let me know in the comments. I'm happy to help. Remember, I'm going to post the link as soon as I say goodbye, and I will see you next week for another episode in Adventures of Comprehension. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.